Georg, Ringer, and I are in Düsseldorf at the TYPO3 Developer Days 2018 edition. How's it been for you so far, Georg?
It was great meeting old friends, making new friends, and talking about stuff we all love, and drinking some beer, and perfect.
Germany's good for the beer drinking part, especially.
Absolutely. Even I'm from Austria, but we all drink beer.
Where are you from exactly in Austria?
I am from Linz and working in Linz and in Vienna.
Tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I'm a software developer, I'm a core developer, doing a lot of extensions since about more than 10 years already, being in the security team, and doing TYPO3 kind of all day.
How long have you been doing TYPO3 CMS stuff?
I have just looked up yesterday, and my first extension is still online, and it's from 2005.
2005. And it's still helping people?
It's still online in this first version, yes.
Wow, that's super cool. So what was your first version of TYPO3 then?
I think it was 3.6, but I don't remember exactly.
One of your current specialties is GDPR compliance. And now I know that every second article online and my entire inbox right now is all about the GDPR. But talking with developers and people who own and run and build websites, tell us, in your view, why it's important, why we have to worry about this.
We have to worry about it because we all deal a lot with private information, and it's getting even more. And we need to think about storing it and to really care about the data of the future, which is all the information about the clients and customers. And it's important that TYPO3 does comply to the GDPR.
Right. So I think it is important that our technology choice supports us, helps us do as well as we can. GDPR and privacy compliance is not just a technical problem. Obviously, you need to have a cultural and systematic approach to it within your organization, right? Because if you don't care, right, or if you treat people badly, that's not going to work. Or maybe I should rather say GDPR doesn't just apply to digital data, so you really have to make a company cultural effort to comply. However, as open source developers, right, one of the things that we can do is build tools that help other people and help our colleagues and make it easier for them to do the right thing. So do you want to talk a little bit about how TYPO3 now helps me be GDPR compliant?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have some APIs created to anonymize IP addresses, to anonymize it with CLI tasks if you don't need the information anymore, doing stuff like randomization, taking care that only this information is stored which is really needed, having a real good user management tool so that backend users only and editors only see this information which they really need, and not, for example, orders and private information.
Fantastic. So how far along is, if I'm downloading TYPO3 in June 2018, which is when we're talking in real time, how far along is the GDPR implementation for TYPO3, and what sort of things are you still working on?
So we did, it was important to comply, of course, before the 25th of May. And so the full TYPO3 core itself is ready for GDPR. And we are building next more tools which help extension developers and site owners to comply with their own extensions.
Fantastic. So the core itself is good to go, and now you're creating the meta systems to enable other people to do the right thing as they're developing and building sites. That's really neat. You also make a GDPR extension, and you have a subscription model. You have a free version and a subscription model to help you support developing in that. What is your GDPR extension for TYPO3 CMS give me?
Okay, so yeah, I do an extension because as extension is far easier to try stuff out. And while being the lead of the GDPR initiative in the TYPO3 core, I already moved a lot of features from there into the public core. And also more features I try out in the GDPR extension will move into the core, so it's available for everybody.
So the paid GDPR extension is kind of a sandbox where you're free to develop new best practices and get things ready to graduate into the CMS core?
Yeah, it's not only a sandbox, you can really use it also in production. But yes, the subscribers or the subscription model helps me to develop new features, and if they are stable enough, I try to move them fully into the public and ideally into the core. Yes.
Oh, fantastic. So we always talk about contribution, and we always talk about how important it is, and that's the lifeblood of open source software and people giving back and so on. We need to remember that we also need a roof over our heads and something to eat, right? And I really like the idea of people supporting you get our tools better along the way. So is this just one project of many that you've got going on, or is it a special focus right now?
It is kind of a special focus because the time is so important, but I have also other extensions, of course, which I do. One is the news extension, which is used very often, and this is fully free, so I really love this concept of open source and not having stuff behind closed or even paid doors. Yes.
Great. Yeah, there's a lot of nuance in there, and there's we have to keep a balance between sharing and surviving. So yeah, that's great. Tell me something about TYPO3 CMS that most people don't know that would surprise them.
TYPO3 does really a lot stuff from the beginning. So it's not always the tool which is the first one implementing something, but it tries to keep the stuff up. And if it tries to support it as long as possible, so you can really use an old version and update it in some hours to the next version, keeping the content where it is and just use it again. Yes.
Yeah, I've noticed an incredible amount of stability between and backwards compatibility along the release path, and it's funny talking with other CMS communities that TYPO3 8 is the current version and the current stable long-term version, but you can already install 9 and it looks exactly the same. It's just doing some things better, but the stability and the continuity of the installations is really nice, and it's also quite secure, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Security is a very important feature, and we always try to really have it secure. And back to the 9, which is important to tell, is we have a roadmap, and we keep the promise to have really a release then in October. And the nice thing is that already customers come to us and say, we know 9 is now in development, and we plan to use then 9 in October and to go online with the 9. Yes.
And we can already start working on the beta version, right?
Absolutely. So the development can already start with 9.3, 9.4 is already in the making, and with the sprint releases, they get new updates, and when the LTS is there, they get the final update and have the LTS version.
And that's October 2018?
Something in October, yes.
And then every 18 months there's a new major version?
Exactly.
Right. Hey, so I guess last point on GDPR. You and I are working on a little web page data sheet to summarize the state of compliance and helper tools in TYPO3. And by the time we publish this, I expect that to be online. So I'll include the URL to that wherever I'm publishing this video. Maybe it's flashing on the screen in front of you now, or maybe it's written in large letters underneath the video box. But we'll put up that information sheet to help people, choose TYPO3, hopefully. And thank you so much for your contributions. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. And see you next time.
See you.
Bye. Good. Thanks. Happy?
Yeah.
Cool.